Welcome to Sunday Springboard with Melanie and Kimberlyn Coaching, where we help women become confident and thrive after toxic relationships. I hope you're doing well today, and I'm glad you have joined me. We've been continuing to talk about trauma and stress and how to overcome that. I was talking with a client the other day, and as we were talking about her anxiety and the feeling that the sense of awareness, of a heightened sense of being aware of what's going on, of danger. Turns out what she was afraid of was that she was going to act in a way that wasn't appropriate to her, that she was going to have a panic attack. She wasn't really afraid that someone was going to do something to her. She was afraid that she wasn't going to behave the way she wanted to. Once we walked through that, we talked through that, like, so what if you do? What if that happens? What can you do? What are the tools you can use to help yourself come back into yourself and feel calm and relaxed and safe? So I thought that was really interesting, because when we talk about people who have experienced trauma and we have a sense of danger, we generally think that means I'm worried that someone is going to do something to me. But maybe when you're thinking about this, maybe you're also afraid that you're going to behave in a way that something's going to happen to you, your own self, that's going to hurt you, not necessarily someone else. So let me share my screen so we can keep on talking. Okay. Just a little bit of a review. We've talked about that trauma is an experience. It's not an event specifically, like it doesn't have to be an event like rape or war or an accident, though those do create trauma. But trauma is an experience we feel in our body. It's what happens in our body when we have experienced too much, too fast, or too little, too long. So if you're a child and you have had, you haven't had food, you haven't had security, so that was too little for too long. If it's too much, too fast, we've all had too much, too fast in the last couple of years. So many things going on at once. When there's so much that goes on at once and it creates us to feel overwhelmed, that creates trauma. We had this graphic last week. We talked about how you can either get up and you're on and you're angry, you're aggressive, you're defensive. These are the mechanisms to fight or flight. Or you can, if that doesn't work, you could be down in the off, which is the feeling depressed, isolated, you freeze, you hide, you want to be by yourself, you get stuck. And then some people are just binging off up and down, up and down, up and down, because you haven't had a chance to work through and discharge that traumatic stress. So we've got a few steps here that we're going to talk about of how to release stress from our bodies. We talked about you have to have safety, a felt sense of safety, a support, and then once you do that, then you can build capacity for growth and joy. Today we want to talk about safety. First of all, you have to actually be safe. If you're in a situation where you have domestic violence or something like that, you need to be able to get into a safe position. But once you are truly safe, you still may not feel safe. So you have to develop a felt sense of safety. And how can you do that? Well, first of all, you have to be able to trust yourself as being safe. Like I told you before, my client was actually not trusting herself. She was afraid she was going to freak out, I think was some words that we said. Freak out and have a panic attack, and that she was just gonna, herself, she was not going to be safe. So we have to learn to trust ourselves. And at the same time, and part of that, we may have been looking at other people to fix us, other people outside of us to fix us and protect us. And we actually have to do this ourselves, not alone. And that's part of the next thing, because people who've been through a lot of trauma, extensive or prolonged trauma, tend to do one of two things. One thing is maybe you avoid everyone. No one is safe. You don't trust anyone. It's safer to be by myself. Or you trust the wrong people. You end up finding toxic people who end up continuing to hurt you, and this makes you continue to feel unsafe. Here's some tips to help rebuild sense of safety. First of all, maybe when you first are coming out of trauma, maybe you need to spend some time alone. It feels more comfortable, you feel safe in your own little walls, but you can't make this last for long because this actually ends up perpetuating. Oh, hang on, I need to do that. Okay, sorry. So this ends up feeding off of itself, and the longer you stay alone, the more dangerous and unsafe the outside world feels like. Sometimes when you're in the outside world, you have to confront yourself and say, am I safe right now? Well, maybe you don't feel safe, but why? What's going to happen? One of the doctors that I follow, Dr. Gentry, was saying that he was in a group of people, and he asked them, are you safe right now? And they're like, well, I don't think so. Well, why? What could possibly happen? Well, they were like, well, the chandelier could fall down on us. Well, yeah, it could. There's a lot of things that could happen. But what about right now, this instant? This instant, are you safe? And most of the time, you should be able to say, yeah, right now, this instant, I am safe. So make your time alone short. You can have it, but make sure that you also move into the outer world. Another thing that's helpful is to make a daily routine. Now, you might have had routines before the trauma, or you may have never had routines, but these are soothing, they're comforting, they help us get through life when maybe your brain is going crazy and you're in a lot of grief, or you're in a lot of, your brain feels like a whirlwind, you can't focus. If you've got your daily routines, this can kind of help you keep going through. So notice what you have. Notice your morning routine, your daily routine. Notice how you react when things happen in your routine, when your phone rings, when your friend calls you, or your friend wants to meet up. How does this feel? How do you feel if you get off of your routine? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel unsafe? And how do you get back to feeling safe again? So think about these things. You can write in your journal about this, but keep hitting this wrong. Sorry about that. So a daily routine can help you feel safe. And then next, you can be selective about who you spend time with, who you give your energy to. You don't have to say yes to everything that everyone says. You don't have to be with everyone, especially while you're healing. When you're trying to become safe again, and you have that hypervigilance, you might not want to let anyone in, but you can pick and choose and discern. Maybe you never had any boundaries before. This is a good time to start creating some boundaries. Now, sometimes this is going to be hard for you to do on your own because you may not be able to see this clearly. This might be a time that it will be good to have a mentor or a coach. I put a link. I always put a link in the show notes. You can click that link. You can schedule a free consult. I can give you a demo coaching session, and to see if this would be something where I could be helpful to you, and we could have a mutually beneficial coaching relationship. The next thing is the support group. We're actually going to talk more about this next week, but having the support group is so important. It can be a therapist, a counselor, it can be group therapy, coaching. Definitely needs to be trauma informed. Also, Celebrate Recovery can be really great if you are involved in any addictions, or people that are involved with your addictions. 12-step groups, Al-Anon or AA, whatever your issue is, those are very helpful. And you just can't do this alone. We try to do it alone, and we just cannot. But anybody that feels safe in your life, maybe it could be a family member, but your family may not be safe. It could be friends, they may not be safe. Sometimes the people closest to us feel the unsafest, even if it's just because they're going to give us advice. They're going to tell us what we should do. Maybe we're afraid they're going to judge us, or they're going to say, you should do this or that. So sometimes the very people closest to us are not going to be our support group. We'll talk more about that next week. So one of the important things after those first steps is to learn to self-soothe. We want to be able to, for the most part, when we get triggered, when we feel unsafe, how can we bring ourselves back to a sense of safety? So Dr. Peter Levine is one of the renowned trauma specialists, and he gives us several tips. So one is hugging yourself. So you just put one arm here, and just hug yourself. Might feel a little silly, but here's the interesting thing. Your brain doesn't realize those are your own arms hugging you. And hugging gives you all kind of really wonderful hormones. It gets your endorphins, your dopamine, all those feel-good hormones, gets them going. So just hug yourself. If you're feeling stressed out or triggered, just hug yourself. Close your eyes or open your eyes, whatever's more comfortable. Take some deep breaths. Just do that till it feels better. If that helps you. Not all the time when I give you tools and tips, you've got to just try them and see, are they helpful to you? If you do it, you go, yeah, that really didn't help. You don't have to do it again. If you did it, you think, I think that was good. Add that to your toolbox and remember it next time you feel unsafe or you feel triggered. Okay, so hugging yourself is really good. And here's another one. So you start off with your hand on your forehead and your upper chest. Oh, my PowerPoint says head, but I mean hand. So you put hand on your forehead and your upper chest. This is where you're going to start. And you just hold it there. Just breathe in and out. Eyes closed or open, whatever feels comfortable. I'm doing this really short today, but when you're doing it, you may want to do it for longer until you start to feel a little calmer. And then when you feel a little something, feel a little better, you take the one off your forehead and now you put it down in your belly. Keep breathing deeply. You can breathe through your heart. There's a thing called heart breathing. And you can actually feel like you're breathing actually up through your heart and out. So hand on forehead, upper chest, and then move to the belly. That's another one. Tapping. Now there's actually a tapping certification that I have, and actually one of these days I will show y'all that. But this tapping is just tapping yourself. Just tapping yourself all around. So one of the problems that happens to us when we're experiencing trauma is we kind of feel disassociated is the word, but we feel out of our bodies. I remember there was a time I felt like I was up top looking down on my body, and I felt like the nerves on the outside of my arms. And so sometimes we just want to get in our body, get back in our body. So just tap yourself everywhere so you can actually just feel like you're getting more in touch with your body. Okay. And then another one is squeezing. Again, squeezing your arms, squeezing your muscles. This can be really good to help yourself just feel your body again. If you've been experiencing a lot of trauma, you may just feel like you are, even like I said, outside of your body. And this last one, man, this is the one Dr. Peter Levine loves. This is called VOO. And so the purpose behind this one is this vagus nerve goes through your whole body. And when you get traumatized, it kind of stops and it doesn't do all the things it's supposed to do. So the things you want to do is to get it woke up. And so what you do with this, when you breathe in, and then when you breathe out, you say VOO. Okay, so you're going to go VOO. As long as you can. Feels a little silly, especially me in front of y'all, but it's okay. You could feel it. If you did it with me, you could feel it vibrating your vagus nerve. So breathe in and VOO out. As loud as you're comfortable with, deep, as long as you can. And do that until you feel different. Try each one of these things and don't just do them once or twice if it doesn't work. Do it for a little while, because sometimes it takes a little while to calm your body. But all of these self-soothing techniques are ways that can help you calm yourself and start having that felt sense of safety. And then lastly for today, nature. Nature is the ultimate therapeutic environment. So here's some different parts of the environment that are great. Water has a very calming effect, whether it's still water, whether it's a moving river, whether it's waves coming up on the beach. All of those are just soothing and calming. So if you can get out in nature, do that. Be around some water, or be in some trees. Trees have very strong character to them, and especially if they're standing still or if their leaves are swaying in the breeze. So being out among trees is a good way to feel safe and feel calm. Watching an eagle or a bird soaring up in the sky. This helps your mood. This helps calm you. Just seeing the movement of the wings and the gliding on the air. So if you can do that, that's a wonderful thing. And then watching a squirrel. So if you're watching a squirrel, it climbs up a tree and it gets startled and it jumps and it repeats over and over. This is kind of playful and it kind of helps lift your mood and helps lift your system out of that severe, hyper-vigilant feeling of being afraid and being aware of danger. This can also help you recover from a startle. Or maybe if you get startled easily, if you really have a very highly sense of hypervigilance, you might get startled easily. Watching the squirrel can help you calm that because of remember we've talked about mirroring neurons. If you're watching them, you can mirror their nervous system responses. So those are my tips for today. Next week, we will talk more about the support group and then about how then you can start actually moving yourself into having the sense of joy and powerful living again. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Again, if you would like some help in working through any of this, give me click the link and schedule an appointment, and I would love to visit with you. Other than that, have a great week.